Hi everyone, I'm going to be sending a reading book home with your child today. I'll also be putting a letter on Seesaw just to explain sort of what I would do with reading. Usually we have a meeting, but obviously with circumstance with COVID, we can't come into school to meet. So I thought the letter might be a little bit helpful. And it gives you a few sort of pointers how to support your child with reading at home. But I thought I'd just go over a few little bits and clarify it. So the children will be bringing a book home. They won't all be bringing the same book home. I've just picked up a book now today. This is That's Mine. And when I introduce it, I wouldn't even open the book for the first few minutes. We look at the book, we talk about the front cover, we talk about the back cover, we talk about the title. And I explain to the children that the title is basically the name of the book. And then I read the title. I'm not expecting the children to read it. These words are difficult. They can't decode those. They haven't got the skills at the minute. So I would point to it and I'd say there's two words in this title. That's mine. And I'd point underneath and I'd show the children and then I'd ask the children to repeat for me. That's mine. And we talk about that these letters make one word and there's a little gap between the next word, because sometimes the children get a little bit confused. If I ask them how many words are in the title, they'll often count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They confuse the letters and sounds with the words, but that's very normal at this stage. And as we move on with our writing and we talk about sentence writing, they'll get used to understanding what a word is, what a sound is. So, and the same then with the reading. So we talk about the title, That's Mine. We always use our pointy finger. So we get our pointy finger ready to track the text. So it's really important that they point to each word as they read. They understand they're making a link that that word is that's and that word is mine. They're understanding, making that link. Then we talk about what's happening on the front cover. Who can you see? And in this case, there's a little girl and she's holding up a sock. And we talk about the expression on the little girl's face. And then we would also look at why, or discuss why she might be looking like that. We'd also talk about the author. I would use the word author. And I say Claire Llewellyn is the author. And then we would turn to the back cover. And I'd say, oh, do you remember what that title is? That's Mine. And I tell them that this is the blurb. And it says, what is going on? And we'd look at the little girl again and she's holding a hat and we discuss it. I would tell them at the beginning that this story is about a little girl who's looking at her items from when she was a baby. And then we would open the book, we would discuss the title page again, and it's really important, underneath they point, that's mine. And we discuss what they could see, and we talk about the author and the illustrator again. And then we would look through the pages, we'd have a little look through, and we discuss, it's called a walkthrough, what's happening on each page. What's the little girl holding here? What's the little girl holding here? And then we turn over and we'd walk all the way through the book. What's she looking at? Can you see? And I point to it. It's not a guessing game. You really do need to help them, support them. It's their very first journey into reading. We really don't want to make it difficult for them. So we point to this. That's the bar. And then the cot. And I go all the way through the book. All the way through the book. And then I would close the book and I'd introduce a tricky word. In this case, the tricky word is my. This is the tricky word here. My. And I'd have it on a post-it note and I'd show the children, I'd say, that's my. We'd work on their point to my. We'd count the my's in the book. So we'd go back through and we'd count the my's. Can you find my? We'd go 1, 2, 3, 4. There's actually 7 in this book, but I won't go to the end because the video will be too long. So we'd count the my's. And then after all that, we would start reading. So there's a lot comes before we even sort of start the reading. So we'd look at this and I'd say, do you remember what that is? What's that tricky word? I'd help them if they'd forgotten. My. And then I'd say, what's she holding? And they'd say, they might hopefully say hat. And I say, what does hat start with? Ha, 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 ha. And I say, can you find a word? There's 2 words on this page. Can you find the word that starts with ha, ha, ha? And they usually point to that. And I'll say, that's right, that's hat, hat. Now that word you can blend. So it's my hat, and I'd show them, and then they'd copy me. My hat. And then they'd look at this one, and I'd say, what's the little girl holding now? Socks. What does socks start with? S. And again, they'd find me the S words. And this one's a little bit trickier to sound out. So I said, that's right. S. That's the word that begins with S. Socks. My socks. And that's how I go through the book. At the very end, there are 3 words on this page. And the children would often say, my, there's the bell. I'll stop in a moment. My, and then we talk about what the little girl is holding, baby, and then we discuss why that word, that sentence, has got another word. So I said, it can't just be my baby. We'd say there's 1, 2, 3 words in that sentence. And I talk about, there's the baby, but what does the 3rd word start with? But. So we'd say, my, and they say, baby, and I think, what can you think that starts with a but? And hopefully they may come up with brother. If not, I give that to them. And then we'd go back and we'd reread it. My baby brother. I'm going to really quickly finish because they're knocking the door to come in. And very quickly, I will, not always, sometimes send home a little activity sheet for you to sequence the story. And they can cut this out, and then you can post the picture for me on Seesaw. And sometimes, depending on the story, I will send a little probe sheet that's got tricky words or blending words for you to practice. And all the information is there. It's just for the children to get used to these words that will be in the storybooks. Okay, I'm going to have to end now because it's 8:45, 8:45, and the children are waiting at the door. I will send a letter as well with Seesaw. I hope this clarifies it. Anything else you need to know, please just message me and I will update again. I'll send another video probably next week just to have a little chat about any other important points for reading. Okay, thank you.